alcoholer that we're meeting today is Prashant Isar, who's the man behind this brilliant concept. Hi Prashant.
Hi.
Welcome to Alcohol.
Thank you and welcome to Ishara.
Thank you for talking to us. And the first question that I want to ask you is, what is Ishara?
To answer that question, how much time do I have? Because I can go on and on for it.
Take your time. You have all the time in the world.
Ishara is a contemporary, cutting-edge, globally styled dining space,
Okay.
which happens to be serving Indian food,
Okay.
a modern take on Indian food, on classical Indian food, which happens to be served by these lovely ladies and gentlemen who cannot speak or hear.
And suddenly the name Ishara makes so much more sense.
Yes.
Before I move on to the next question, should we quickly call for a drink?
Yes,
Yeah?
of course, of course. So that means alcohol.
Okay.
What do you like in spirits?
I like drinking whiskey.
Whiskey, then there we are. Would you like to try the blueberry whiskey sour?
Absolutely. I love whiskey sours. They're one of my favorite drinks. I've never had a blueberry whiskey sour before.
Awesome.
But I would like to order this one myself.
Of course. So,
If you could direct me to it. Yeah.
yes. So all you have to do is point the sign, the number
Okay.
of the drink,
Okay.
and she will take the order.
So that would be this, right?
So she's
the
pointing
blueberry.
it out to you, just to reconfirm.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. How long has it been since you guys started Ishara?
So Ishara started. This is the 10th month.
Okay.
Yes.
It's very relatively new still.
Yes.
Nice.
Took about 10 months in the making as well. So
Okay.
A lot of detailing gone into it, which possibly is just under the surface.
Okay, speaking of which, I'm sure you guys have got this bunch of really talented guys as your front end staff. Do you have to go through a particular training process to make them more friendly with the customers that are coming in and stuff like that? Is there a legit training process that you guys follow?
So we have a training program with 5 modules,
Okay.
which not just trains them but develops them,
Okay.
because most of them are on their first job.
Fair.
So it starts with life sciences, goes on to job readiness, simple English and arithmetic, because we do not have any qualification requirements for the job.
Okay.
It is just the
Okay.
hunger to perform. Then service skills and hospitality etiquette. That's your drink.
Thank you. I hope I'm doing this right. Thank you.
So it's a pomegranate and grapefruit martini. I love
Okay.
martinis, especially in the day. I think they're very refreshing. For me, pomegranate and grapefruit, of course, the antioxidants that we all need at this point of time.
Yes.
With all the sunlight coming in, we get quite a few, but why not a little more?
The color is beautiful, and I'm quite tempted to get a sip of
Yes, please.
this gorgeous whiskey sour.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's clearly one of the best whiskey sours I've had. So I want to know, when was the first time you had a drink?
I think I was possibly around 14 or 15, and
Okay.
my father, being from the Indian Army, he sat me down and said, well, I think it's time.
Nice.
I vaguely do remember it was whiskey.
It was whiskey?
Yes.
Nice.
My father had very specific brands for specific cadres of people.
Okay.
So
okay.
if a captain in the army comes, then this is the brand. If a colonel comes, then this is the brand. If a
So
brigadier
it's a
comes,
Punjabi and an army thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, so you must be a complete ball.
Yes.
Awesome.
I was offered the absolute bottom of the rung.
You were 14. You were
Yes.
offered alcohol at 14. That's
Yeah,
a good start, yeah. So I know now whiskey was the first drink you ever had.
Yes.
Is it still your favorite spirit? Or I see a big, beautiful wine rack there as well.
Oh, I love wines.
Okay.
In spirits, I think whiskey, but in beverages, wine.
Wine, okay.
I've had the chance to, make a few wine lists with Matthew Jukes, who's a very
Okay.
well-known wine writer and wine buyer in the UK.
Do you guys do wine and food pairings? Do you all have...
We do it on request.
Okay. Okay.
We don't really have a menu as such, simply because my views on wine and food pairing are a bit radical.
Okay. We would love to know them.
I think wine is so personal that for someone to write a tasting note on wine and tell you what to expect in that is really not required.
Fair.
So if you read the tasting notes that I have written, they have nothing to do with the wine as such.
Do you have a favorite wine to drink?
Yeah, I really love a Merlot. It is possibly a better one than a Pinot Noir. But then I also believe that if you want to have a Bordeaux, you want to have a Saint Emilion, you just want to have it. You don't give a damn whether it's
Fair.
with a particular dish. Gone are the days, the very French days of pairing white meat with white wines and red meat with
Red wine.
wines. I want a Chablis or a Gavi, then I just want it. And
We could do-
I will enjoy it with even chapati and dal.
Do you have a best drinking memory?
I'll tell you what, we were opening a new restaurant in London.
Okay.
And I and another manager of mine, we decided before doing the setting the cocktail list, before compiling the cocktail list, let us go out and explore some cocktails.
Fair.
And so we were like bar hopping across Pimlico and Victoria and going from one bar to the other. There was this longest bar in London called Banks Bar, and we
Okay.
went in there, had a few cocktails, went to another bar, and so on and so forth. And so talk about mixing drinks, well, cocktails, having a variety of them, irrespective of spirit, was like obviously very interesting.
Of course.
And then obviously things do tend to get more and more interesting, and then comes the time to actually go back home. And I remember I reached home and I took a cab home, and I don't know how I paid him, but when I reached home, knocked on the door, my wife opened and she said, "What's wrong, Willie? What have you done?" And all I could ask her was, "Please check my back pocket. Is my wallet is still,
Wallet is
my
still
wallet
there."
still there or not?" But
But-
it's used to be fun. I think there are quite a few episodes now. We are more mature and more careful. But yeah, night out once in a while.
I'm sure it all worked out brilliantly because you're
We had a
using
great wine
all
list,
those
great
experiences
cocktail
and creating these brilliant cocktails for us to drink right now. If not Ishara, what is your favorite place to go out and get a drink?
For me, the best way to unwind on my day off is possibly to have a drink sitting by the balcony with a cigar. And yeah, I quit smoking over a decade
Okay.
ago, but a cigar once in a while is definitely something I
Nice.
I really
And a
love.
drink is also in the picture.
Yes.
Okay, now we're going to move to a quicker part of this interview, and it's called the Alco Quiz. And today, because we're at Ishara, the Alco Quiz is going to be all about Isharas.
All right.
Okay, I'm going to give you a few situations, and if you can tell me, would it be a great Ishara, a great gesture for that situation?
Okay.
So if we have to have signs for the following things, what would they be? If I want to tell you that's a good drink, like I want to tell you about this one, it's a great drink.
Drink?
This is it. Okay. On the rocks. If I want to ask for a drink on the rocks.
So that's ice.
Okay. The last one is I love Ishara. Let's do that together because yeah. So with the end of the Alco Quiz, we're going to call this a wrap. And there's so much that I got to learn from this interview about the industry, about compassion, inclusivity, great food, and of course, great drinks. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you so much for agreeing to be in this video. And let's just wind it up by asking all our viewers to drink responsibly.
Drink, but think and slowly.
Did you guys get it? If you guys liked watching this video, make sure you like it and share it with your friends. And if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe to Alcohol. Cheers.